And now it's time for the WWE Top 10 Best and Worst General Managers of All Time. Here's how this list works. First, I'm going to run down the top 5 best general managers, and then after that, I'm going to run down the top 5 worst general managers. So first up, the top 5 best. Here's number 5. William Regal. William Regal, a lot of people have forgotten about his run as general manager. Now, he was a commissioner at one time, but this list is all about general managers. Now, in my opinion, he was very underrated, but he was very funny. He was entertaining. I liked him as a general manager. He wasn't the greatest general manager of all time, obviously, but I thought he did a good job. And when he was King of the Ring and general manager, that also was entertaining too. Number 4, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, Stone Cold Steve Austin was the general manager, co-general manager with Eric Bischoff back in 2003. Now, a lot of people look back at this as like, he was kind of a very comedic general manager. If you remember, one time he walked out during one of Lance Storm's matches and called him boring during this ridiculous, boring Lance Storm storyline. Some people thought, that buried Lance Storm or whatever. But, Steve Austin, I liked it. I thought, Eric Bischoff and him, they were funny together. So I thought it was pretty good. Number 3, Kurt Angle. If you don't remember, Kurt Angle was actually general manager of SmackDown for about 3 months back in 2004 when he was injured. He was in a wheelchair. He was very funny. He was very good, in my opinion, as a general manager. I think even today, if he came back to WWE, he'd be a very good general manager. Number 2, Paul Heyman. Now, if you remember, Paul Heyman was actually the booker for SmackDown and the general manager of SmackDown back from 2003 to 2004. Now, I really think that he is definitely one of the best writers of all time, and it goes to show you he's also one of the best general managers of all time. He probably should be, maybe in this new brand split, one of the GMs. Forget about Shane McMahon, forget about Stephanie McMahon. Maybe he should be one of the general managers, one of the heads of the shows. Because he was great as the general manager of SmackDown. And now, number 1, the best general manager in WWE of all time is Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff had a 3-year run from 2002 to 2005 as the Raw general manager. He was the quintessential general manager. He is what you want. He was entertaining. He was serious. He was comedic. He was everything you wanted. He was in WCW. He was a great authority figure there too. But he was great as general manager, and I think he'd be a good general manager still today. And now it's time for the top 5 worst general managers of all time in WWE. Number 5, John Laurinaitis. John Laurinaitis, I'm going to keep this short. He was so bad he was funny, but he was a terrible general manager. You just couldn't take him seriously. Number 4, Tiffany, a.k.a. Taryn Terrell, from ECW. This was back in 2009 and 2010, back when there was an ECW brand, ECW and Sci-Fi. Tiffany, she just had this weird way of speaking. She was a very bad actress. You should go on YouTube, watch some of these clips of her on ECW. She eventually went on to wrestle before that. I don't know if it was before or after, but she went on to wrestle. She wrestled for TNA. She wrestled on SmackDown, Raw. She became a decent wrestler, but she's retired now. But her run as a general manager was definitely so bad it was funny. Her acting skills were terrible. Number 3, the anonymous Raw general manager. Looking back at 2009 to 2011, 2010, 2011, excuse me. Hornswoggle was a general manager, yes. He was the anonymous Raw general manager. We didn't know this at the time, but the anonymous Raw general manager was actually Hornswoggle. This was revealed a few years after the anonymous Raw general manager was written off television. When it wasn't even written off television, he just wasn't on it one day, and that was it. And for a couple years later, he was revealed. Hornswoggle was revealed as an anonymous Raw general manager. Now, I was somewhat entertained by the anonymous Raw general manager when it was going on. The thing with him and Edge, when Edge destroyed the laptop, I thought it was pretty good. But finding out it was Hornswoggle ruined my. It just ruined my my memories of the anonymous Raw general manager. And now I hate it. I hate the anonymous Raw general manager thinking about it. Number 2, Brad Maddox. I don't even know what to even say about Brad Maddox. He was just a weird guy. He's no longer with WWE. He had about a year run as the Raw GM from 2013 to 2014. I mean, he sucked, and he was supposed to suck. I think he had this weird way of talking where like you didn't know if he was supposed to suck or if he was screwing up things on purpose. He wasn't really even on TV, especially towards the end. He was barely on television as the Raw GM. But, I mean, I think that maybe there was something there. Maybe he could have been something, maybe as a wrestler, maybe not a Raw GM, or maybe as a manager, he would have been a lot better. Just the Raw GM, it just didn't work. It really, really sucked, and it was terrible, him as the Raw GM. And now the number 1 worst WWE general manager of all time is Mike Adamle. Who else would I pick as the worst general manager of all time? He was the general manager for a few months in 2008, and my God, did he suck. He started out as an ECW commentator. He was terrible at flubbing lines constantly, bloopers, He screwed up Jeff Hardy's name, called him Jeff Harvey. I mean, and I remember when he was announced as a general manager, I think it was a draft episode of Raw. Vince McMahon announced it. John Cena was in the ring when it was announced. And my God, I mean, he was so shocked by it. You could tell John Cena had no clue that Mike Adamle was going to be the general manager. And that led to just a couple of months of horrible backstage segments, horrible promos. He could barely speak. And it was kind of a joke, though. It was a joke, kind of like John Laurinaitis. It was similar to that. But this was even worse. John Laurinaitis eventually grew into the role. He was terrible, but he grew into the role, and he didn't botch his lines as much. Mike Adamle still botched his lines, and they were giving him lines to botch on purpose. They knew why would you want a joke general manager? And this is the reason why the general manager thing kind of started to fade away. It's starting to come back. It's going to be coming back now here with the brand extension, the brand split. But that's pretty much just going to be Stephanie McMahon and Shane McMahon. I don't think they're going to have bring out outside people to be general managers. So thanks, give a thanks to Mike Adamle for ruining, any type of non-McMahon general manager.